could you imagine? That's one investment just continuing to roll forward. And you invest the original proceeds and then you invest everything you make and you keep that money working. That's the true power of passive.
Greetings, wealth builders. Welcome to Get Diversified, your go-to podcast for all things real estate investments.
I'm Jacqueline.
Melvin Landry. We're thrilled to embark on this wealth building journey with you.
Imagine this. What if your investments not only secure your future, but also unlock a life of financial freedom? That's what we're diving into on this show. Apartment buildings, storage facilities, mobile home parks, the whole shebang.
But here's the kicker. It's not just about investing. It's about crafting a legacy, building memories with your loved ones, and seizing every moment. Time is the currency of life. And let's be real, none of us wants to waste.
We've got the insights, experience, and dash of excitement to spice up your investing game. Plus, we'll throw in some real-life stories that'll make you see the potential in every brick and mortar.
Subscribe, buckle up, and get ready to turn your investments into the ticket to financial freedom. Together, we're not just building wealth, we're building the community of savvy investors. Let's get diversified.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Get Diversified. I am your host today, Jacqueline Landry, and I am here with Trevor Thompson. He's been a co-investor of ours, friend for many, many years. I want to say at least three or 4 years that we've been in the multifamily game. So welcome to the show, Trevor.
It's an honor to be here. I'm super excited.
Or I should say welcome back, because you were in some of our earlier episodes of Get Diversified. So very happy to kind of get up to speed on where you've been and what you've been doing. But first, let's start with giving the listeners and the viewers a little bit of background on who Trevor is.
Yeah, so I have the world's most interesting life. And in fact, I made a video, Am I the World's Most Interesting Man? So I'm from Niagara Falls, Canada originally. I started working for Ripley's, believe it or not, at age 13. I worked there all through high school. Then I went to Guinness World Records. Probably my biggest claim to fame there was lunch with Michael Jackson when we gave him a Lifetime Achievement Award. And then I ran a location in Niagara Falls. The company owned one in the Empire State Building in New York City, opened a franchise in Los Angeles, spent 6 months in the UK at their location there. And I did 18 years. And I wanted to open my own Guinness down in Orlando, Florida. And so I did all the work, raised the money to do it. And then they sold the rights to Ripley's, believe it or not, who wanted to do their own. So strangely enough, I also made a deal to open a year-round haunted house of all strange things. And I stayed there for 3 years. And I got recruited by iFly Indoor Skydiving. And in the 20 years with iFly, I opened 46 of 80 locations all over the world. It was an amazing career. But with
Wow.
many people, COVID came along and they didn't need me anymore. So they weren't doing development. So they laid off about 60% of their workforce.
Wow. Wow. What an introduction. So you like to stay in one place, don't you?
I
No, not
don't move
exactly.
around a lot, that's for sure.
What a career, moving from north, south, east, and west. You've been there. And I love that you take the risks to make you who you are today.
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing that. So let's talk a little bit about passive to active investing. So a
Yeah.
big difference there. So maybe you can start off by first telling some of our more beginner investors what the difference is between active and passive.
So I go back a little bit further. I was always interested in real estate, terrified of toilets, tenants, and trash. So I didn't want to do single family. And then I thought you had to be a millionaire to invest in commercial real estate. And luckily, I actually got a payday and I got some money. And I thought it's about time I learn about investing in commercial real estate. And I went to this weekend and they talked about syndications. And I went, where have you been my whole life? I can own a fractional portion of a commercial real estate. And I was obviously hooked. So this was 7 years ago from today. And then so far, I've been a passive investor in 20 syndications. About half of those have gone full cycle. Then as I was getting less interested in iFly and they were struggling and then COVID came, I decided it was time to switch to active. So active on your own to be able to do it. And we'll talk a little more. It's really challenging to find that first deal without a team. So I managed to get a couple of deals where I joined in with another group, but then came along massive capital. And it was actually who I originally invested as a passive investor. And so I said, how can I join your group? How can I bring value? And since then, the rest is history. So I found massive capital and I said, okay, one of the things I've learned is I need to be part of a good team. They were really good at certain things. I was really good at other things. So we started talking. I even created my own fancy title, Vice President Investor Engagement, because I really wanted to create a community that we taught about investing and then allowed them to invest. And it was
Yes.
really important for me to create a community, and they allowed me to do that. So since joining them 3 years ago, I'm a general partner with them on 11 syndications. So super, super successful just being able to join them and be able to be part of their team.
Fantastic. So, can you talk a little bit about your role as a general partner and what role you actually play?
Yes. So on mine, again, my title is Vice President of Investor Engagement. It's a fancier way to say investor relations because we do a little more than that. And so what I mostly do is I educate our market, and then I'm the one that presents the investment opportunities to them. And then I continue nurturing that investor, helping them learn what we're doing, helping them learn why we're doing it, and then obviously, hopefully, getting them to invest in new projects as they come along. And so I'm super active. I attend a lot of the property management calls, the GP calls. So I do more than raise capital. But to be honest, most of those calls I'm attending is so I can give good up-to-date data to our investors. And, so I make sure that I get that information out. And sometimes it's simple things like reminding them that the call's coming up. And if I notice they missed the call, reminding them we sent the webinar to them, just to make sure that they keep informed.
Yeah. That's super important. I've been co GPs on several engagements where the lead GP was very communicative, uncommunicative, right? To the fact that how can I update my investor with the information if I'm not getting the information myself? So talk to me. So you're very engaged in the property management or asset management calls, which is great. Talk to me about a little bit about the other parts of the general partnership team and how that plays into the success or the failure of a syndication.
Yeah. So, and when you say involved, I actually am not asset managing. I'm just learning what they're doing and I'm
Yes.
asking them clarifying questions so that
Yes.
I can give the good data because some of those are really like kind of deep down in and you can only share so much so you don't overload your investors. So I attend those meetings so I can learn and then I can give better updates to people on a more regular basis, on just a little bit more, because you don't want to hide details, but you don't want to overshare either, because then it creates some confusion, especially probably 60% of my investors, I'm their first investment ever. And so they're super nervous and they require a little bit extra hand holding. And so it's just very, very important to be able to do that for them.
Yep, yep, and I love that. Number 1, it ups your game on learning about property and asset management, right? And then just makes you a better investor
Yeah.
relations person,
You know,
and building that credibility with the investors that you currently have and new investors that,
Yeah, and it was
you bring
super
on.
good that I started as an LP because I learned a lot how I was treated. And you talk about that, like you had it not very. I was on a deal once and they did a webinar update and they didn't say anything. There was 3 slides, real no information. We were all muted and they didn't answer any questions in the chat and they said, "Thanks everybody for showing up." And I actually sent an email. I don't know if I'm making or losing money.
Right.
And then no answer. So I emailed again, "Did you get my email?" Making money. That was his answer. And I said, "Well, how am I making money? Like, how am I?" And as it turned out, they ended up unwinding that. And I understand that one had some struggles. They ended up unwinding it and I got my money back plus about 5%. But at that time, I was just happy to move along and put that money with the partners that would treat me as a partner, not just as some guy.
Yeah, that's true too. I find that sometimes as a co-GP, you're not given the autonomy to really make a change. Do you find that in your do you find that in your teams where you don't have the autonomy to really make a difference when you're a co-GP?
Yeah, so it definitely can be. The nice thing with Massive Capital is they've created this environment where I am part of the team, where I am brought to the table and asked questions. And so that's very helpful. Now, at the end of the day, the lead general partners, they are the decision makers. But I at least can ask clarifying questions. And again, it's not always good and it's not always bad. I just need to know where are we so I can share that information for my investors. And thank goodness, we have a really good team. So even this morning before this call, we have a team call that we go over all 16 assets. If you can imagine, we review 16 assets in 1 hour. It's a pretty quickety clickety lick, but I'm supposed to put any questions I need answer into a chat. And then I show up at that call and get my answers.
Yeah, and that's really important. So what do you like better, passive or
Well,
active?
ultimately, my goal is to be a passive investor where my money is just growing for me. At this point, I'm a general partner because I still need some active income coming in. I'm not at the point where my passive income, and I really believe with all of my heart, and I tell all of my investors, you need to leave your passive money growing. You need that compounding of your passive money. That's how you're going to become that millionaire. That's how you're going to get there. So I don't want to take it out to live. So getting my portion of acquisition fees or any general partner distributions at this part of my life are super important. But my ultimate goal is to just have my money working for me and me not having to worry because it's a big responsibility taking somebody's money. And again, that's my ultimate goal. But when I think of it too, I worry that it will also take a big part of my life away from me that I like to teach people. I like to encourage people to start passive investing. So
Yes.
maybe I just started an investor club or something. I don't know, but I would miss that connection. Because I got the message right. 100,000 people reach financial independence. Audaciously crazy big goal. And I don't want to ever just forget about those people that haven't heard about passive investing. So this is a way for me to keep doing that. If I was just a passive investor, I probably wouldn't be here today because I have no desire to share my message where that's the burning desire for me to help others. And of course, I want to live what I preach and I
Yeah.
live, so I want to keep my money passively invested and growing.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it's interesting you say that you like the active part, but you actually want to be passive. I think that's where my husband and I are going, right? But we're still on the growing of our active investments that we're doing. But eventually I'd like to take, a few million, put it in a few passive investments, and then Jackie and Melvin do nothing. We're sitting back as long as we're putting our money with the right team and investing in the right asset, and then your money just comes back to you, right? So I think that's our ultimate goal. Will I miss some of the active general partnership duties that I have with our portfolio and with our syndications? Yeah, but I can choose what I decide I wanna work on or what I wanna do. Like you were saying, maybe start an investor club. I think, we share some similarities when it comes to being passionate about investing. Man, you get me started talking about investing at a party or like, "Hey, how do you do what you do?" I'll talk for hours, right? So it's something that's passionate to me, and I see others that are working W-2 jobs, and then they get that slip or that email that says, "We're eliminating your position."
Yeah.
So now what? They were relying on that one W-2, and now they have no money coming in, and unless they have another stream of income, like passive investing, I could keep them afloat
Yes.
if you have multiple streams of other income coming in. So I wish I would have learned that in my 20s.
Me
Instead
too.
of just blowing it on stupid things, I would have taken it and started doing what you did, which is actively, or passively investing in syndications. But I had no idea, just like you had no idea.
Yeah.
I thought you had to be a millionaire. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
I'm getting there, but if I work harder, I'm going to become a millionaire. And that's not how millionaires become millionaires.
Yeah. And then the other thing that a lot of people don't nail down and get. So if you invested 100,000 in a deal and you doubled it in 5 years, that's 200,000. If you invested that 200 and you double it, it's 400. If you invest that 400 and double it, it's 800. If you invest that 800, it's 1.6 million. If you invest that 1.6 million, it's 3.2 million. Now, that assumes you double, and I haven't taken taxes into it. Could you imagine? That's one investment just
Yeah.
continuing to roll forward. And you invest the original proceeds, and then you invest everything you make, and you keep that money working. That's the true power of passive investing. It's not invest 100, earn 100, spend 100. You're only going to end
Right.
up in 25 years at 200,000. And so that's why I've been super strict on keeping my passive money passive and growing. And then I still need a little bit of active income so that I can pay the bills and put food on the table and, it maintains some sort of life existency. But the second you stop that compounding, you stop growing that wealth. And just think of it. $100,000 in 25 years makes you a multimillionaire. That's the magic of passive investing, right? And I'm only talking about making one investment
One
in 25
investment.
years. What
Yes.
if we made one every year, one every 5 years,
Right.
whatever? That's how you start to get into a net worth of tens of millions of dollars. And what family in America would that not change your entire life?
Yes, yes, I love that. When I first started out in syndications, I said exactly that. Hey, we're going to invest in 5 syndications every year. And what does that look like at the end of just even 10 years? Right? That is massive depending on the amount of money that you have.
Jacqueline and Melvin, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to listen to this episode of Get Diversified. Please make sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on future episodes. Finally, stop by our website and follow us on social media. Ciao for now. Make it a great day, and we'll see you next time. And remember, get diversified.